Did somebody give you 1 share or 1% share in a corporation just because they needed to complete the minimum number of shareholders?
We see this a lot in family corporations and businesses. Stockholders whose names are placed in the corporation as owners when in fact they don't have any investment in the corporation or they're not even involved in the corporation at all.
Many times we find that the owners of a corporation include the names of the owner's children or other people, no? Sometimes you will even see that secretaries, drivers, or even household helpers are named as part owners of the company.
Swerte naman nila.
So our question today comes from Marie G. And she writes, Attorney, my friend started a corporation many years back and he asked me if I can be a dummy stockholder for him along with his girlfriend, his mom, and his tita.
Kompleto. Kapitbahay na lang ako lang.
Baka yung si Q. I agreed. I think he gave me 1%. Since then, I do not have any update on what happened to the company. Sometimes, my friend makes me sign things. But when I ask him about it, he tells me that these are routine documents. I'm worried I might get sued someday. What are my rights as a dummy?
If you were wondering about the same thing as Marie, stick around. But before we proceed, we want to give a shout out to Carlos Cito of Seller Gateway Incorporated, who said, every video content is very valuable. Nakakatuwa naman. I think Legal Guide Philippines FB page is the only legal page that I spend more than an hour and I didn't get bored.
Wow. Thank you so much.
We feel very honored. I hope you can have more videos para sa mga entrepreneurs na kagaya ko. And that's what we're doing today. Thank you so much, Carlo.
Thank you, Carlo.
If you want to give us feedback as well, please go to info.legalguy.ph/feedback. There you can press submit feedback and you might get featured as well. So let's get on with it.
This episode is brought to you by Putting Up a Corporation Workshop, an online course that orients you on the basics of starting a company in the Philippines. It talks about what is a corporation exactly, what are the things you should decide on first before making the leap, and what is the procedure to expect when processing the papers. Get your business started right. Go to info.legalguide.ph/corporation to learn more.
Welcome to Legal Guide Philippines, where we simplify the law to help you make better choices. I'm Attorney Erwin Zagala and I'm with my partner,
Attorney Ramon Ramirez.
So today we're talking about dummy incorporators. What is this, Attorney Ramon?
Sure, I'm happy to talk about it. But before that, we would like to say thank you to our reader Marie G, who submitted today's question. So thank you Marie, for writing to us. And as a thank you, we would like to give you a copy of our book, Notary Not Included.
Congratulations,
right.
Marie.
Thank you, Marie, for submitting. And this is for you. Please send us an email to
introduce yourself.
Yeah. So anong email na ibibigay natin?
You can email us at info@legalguide.ph.
Yan. Okay. Introduce yourself and kami nang baala sa shipping. Kami nang mag-ship sa inyo. Alright? Okay.
So the rest of them, if they want to get chances na ma-shout out dito and then mabigyan ng
free book
gift. Yeah. Please submit your questions on our website as well. Kapag maraming votes kasi, it gets featured.
Yes. Okay. All right. So let's go back to Marie's question. What happened here kay Marie? So a friend of hers approached her and said, I'm starting a company and I need 5 people. So I have my aunt, girlfriend, my tita na ako, and kailangan ko na lang isa. Can you be my 5th person?
Fifth?
Yes.
Oh, wow. Okay. Parang significant yung 5th.
Oh, yeah. Can you be my next person? So that's what happened. And then after niya, okay naman siya, pirma naman siya, nabigyan yata siya ng 1 share. Galing. Or 1%. Usually that's what people say. I think, I have 1% in a corporation. Okay. And then after that, no more updates. From time to time, she signs something, pero she has no idea what's going on in the corporation. So kinakabahan siya ngayon. Baka makulong ako or bigla na lang may demand letter sa akin. Yeah, so that's what's happening. Now, now that we know the context, guys, there's a term that Marie has been saying again and again, which is ano lang daw siya, dummy. Okay, we seem to use this term dummy very loosely. No,
When they say dummy, ito yung parang manikin eh. Di ba?
yeah,
Parang
oo,
puppet.
kasi
Ah,
I just need kailangan ko kasi ng 5 people in the corporation. So, isama kita. Ikaw na yung dummy ko or ako yung dummy mo, 'di ba? Parang ganun. Guys, this is a very dangerous thing to do, okay? Using this term because we have what we call the anti-dummy law.
it's
Okay?
illegal.
Yes, it makes it a crime to act as a dummy.
Okay.
So please, let's be very careful. There's no we shouldn't act as a dummy. Now, under the anti-dummy law, it prohibits arrangements, and these are usually done by a foreigner to evade nationality restrictions. Okay?
Kunwari, bawal magtayo yung foreigner. So,
Yes.
gagamitin niya, dummy, Filipino.
Yes. So that's
Ayun.
against the law, guys. Okay? And just please don't bandy about that term na dummy. Okay? So what actually Marie is loosely what we would call a nominee.
Iba pa yung nominee sa dummy.
Yes,
Okay.
ang dummy against the law, ang nominee hindi na necessarily against the law.
Mhm.
Okay? So nominee siya. What is a nominee? She holds the shares for the benefit of someone else. In this case, her friend, whatever her friend's name is, no?
So, pag may nagtanong pala sa atin, attorney, pwede po ba akong pumayag na maging dummy?
Yeah. No,
Oo.
that's
Pag-
dangerous.
Attorney, pwede ba akong pumayag na maging nominee?
Yun,
It
pwede.
depends. Oo, pwede pang
Posible.
pag-usapan.
Yan. Okay. Now, this is being a nominee, like I said, is not illegal per se. Okay? And if this is done correctly, and how do we do this correctly? Please ask your lawyers. Okay? This is not the episode for that. All right. Now, also, guys, please be aware with the new revised corporation code.
Or RCCP.
Yes,
Yan.
the SEC requires that these arrangements, mga nominee arrangements, are reported and made transparent. Okay, so nire-report natin yung mga nominee arrangements sa SEC. Okay, so kailangan alam yan. Okay, now going back to Marie's question, as far as the law is concerned, what is Marie's status? We said she's a nominee. Okay, but what does that mean? Well, first and foremost, and now we're going to point 1. Marie is what we call a incorporator.
Wow.
Okay, incorporator. Now, so this happens a lot. No, we see in the articles of incorporation of usually of family businesses, di ba? Every day we see this, no. Yung mga structures nila panay-nominee. Okay? So, sino mga typical nominees? Pinaka-typical niyan, anak. Kapatid, yan. Tita, tito,
Magulang, pwede
yes.
pa.
Ito, nakita ko so many times, secretaries, okay, employees, even family drivers, attorney, they put those people as incorporators. Now, ano ba yung incorporators, Attorney Erwin?
Ano nga ba?
Sila yung mga unang nagtayo ng korporasyon or ng kumpanya.
Kumbaga sa basketball, starting five.
Starting five.
Yan.
Okay, so just think of incorporators as the first people to have started the company. Okay?
Kasi it has to start somewhere.
Yes.
Diba?
Right? So, nominees are incorporators generally. And in Marie's case, since she started the company with her friend, she's an incorporator. Now, going back, why did these nominee arrangements as incorporators, why did this proliferate?
Oo nga, wala namang kinalaman. Pero bakit sinasama sa usapan?
Yes. Okay. So, under our old corporation code, there was a minimum kasi of individuals para makapagsimula ng kumpanya.
Dito pumapasok yung 5 kanina.
Yes.
Okay.
So, at the minimum, to start a corporation, we needed 5 individuals. Okay? So ayan na, no? Kunwari, I'm going to start a company. I want the benefits of having a corporation kasi may benefits, advantages to having a corporation. But mag-isa lang ako lang yung negosyante. So, isasama ko na si Inday, isasama ko na si yung boy ko or
makabuo lang ng starting 5.
Makabuo lang ng starting 5. And these guys, possibly they have nothing to do with the corporation. Okay pa kung your kid na interested or is working in the corporation, But generally, this is why this happened. Okay? Now, so as an incorporator, this also means that Marie is also a shareholder.
Wow, okay.
So for all intents and purposes, Marie is a part owner of the corporation.
Ang swerte naman, ano?
Yes,
Wala siyang
oo.
ginagawa, pero part owner siya.
Yes, so dahil nominee siya, okay, dahil she's holding shares on behalf of her friend, she was one of the starting five, so she's an incorporator, and now she's also a shareholder or a part owner of the corporation. Okay. Now, question, Attorney Erwin, baka masasagot mo to. Are all incorporators shareholders?
Yes.
Correct.
Mhm.
Yeah. What about the reverse? Are all shareholders incorporators?
Uy, wait, sandali. May complication yan. Tingin ko, no.
Yes, correct. Si Attorney Erwin. Why no? Because what did we say about incorporators? They're just the starting five. Okay? As a corporation goes along, pwedeng yung one of the starting five ay binenta niya yung shares niya. Ayaw na niya.
So, yung pinagbentahan niya,
Pinagbentahan
shareholder
niya,
to.
oh, meron na siya. Shareholder na rin.
Pero, never siya magiging incorporator.
Yes,
kasi hindi siya kasama dun sa
Sa
starting,
starting five.
five.
Yan, okay? So Marie is a nominee and who became an incorporator and is a shareholder. Now, ano ba tong shareholders na to? What's the concept, Attorney Erwin? No? So, think of the corporation as let's say, a whole pizza pie. Okay? And in that whole pizza pie, may mga people na pwedeng magmay-ari ng pizza pie. Okay? Now, yung mga people na, sige, makikisama ako sa pagbili ng pizza pie na yan, or pizza, makiki-contribute ako dyan para mabili natin yan. Okay? Depending on how much yung kinontribute ng tao, yun yung magiging gano'ng kalaki yung share niya in the pizza.
Syempre, kung ano yung ambag mo, yun yung share mo.
Yes, okay? So that's generally, very loosely how shareholders are. No? So they own a portion of the corporation or the company based on something that they contributed. Okay? So na-value yan. Okay? Now, what are the typical rights naman of a shareholder? Pag sinabi mong shareholder ako,
may-ari ka eh. So may powers ka.
Yes.
Rights. Okay.
So typical rights, definitely one of the most popular rights for me is the right of a shareholder to receive dividends. Yan. For me, that's the only, sige, magkano ba yan? Di ba? Magkano ba kikitain ko dyan pag nag-invest ako dyan? Okay? Sa pizza na yan or sa corporation na yan.
Tama.
Okay. Another right is the right to vote. Vote where? Vote during your annual stockholders meeting. Diba? Kasi during the annual stockholders meeting, dyan, binoboto yung ating mga board of directors. Yan. We will talk about the board of directors later. No? So you have the right to vote. And in certain other corporate actions, ini-invite ang shareholders para, kailangan, may gagawin kaming malaking bagay. Kailangan namin yung vote ninyo. Yan.
Nakalista naman sa batas.
Nakalista sa batas yan. No? There are certain corporate actions na involve ang shareholders to vote. Yan. What else? A shareholder may also inspect the books of a corporation.
Siyempre, may-ari ka eh.
Yes. So, baka kasi I want to know what's happening in the corporation. So, Marie, as a shareholder, even if you own just one share or 1%, whatever it was given to you, you have the right to inspect the books of the corporation. Okay. One of the not so popular rights of a shareholder is if hindi gusto ni Marie yung nangyayari sa korporasyon, she can not agree with it and magpa-offer siya na to be bought out.
Hindi ko gusto yung bagong logo. Ang pangit.
Hindi naman. Hindi gano'n kababaw, please, Marie. No? But there are certain actions that a shareholder can disagree with and be offered to be bought out.
For example, the company decided to go into a line of business
Yes.
that fundamentally the shareholder disagrees with.
Yes.
Right? So
then she can be bought out or offered to be bought out. Yan. Now, ito yung palaging tanong, no? And I'm sure this is where Marie's problem is coming from. No, sabi niya, I might be sued someday or whatever. No, so if you are a part owner of the company, are you liable for, let's say, yung mga kautangan ng company? Or kunwari, yung company nagkaroon ng aksidente and the company needed to pay damages to somebody. Are you liable is the shareholder liable? Now, the general rule, guys, or Marie, please listen, the general rule is you're not generally liable.
I think this is something we discussed extensively dun sa workshop natin.
Correct.
Putting up a corporation.
Yes. So, Marie, please, generally, you are not liable for yung mga liabilities nung kumpanya nung friend mo.
But I
Okay?
think, Attorney Ramon, there's an exception to that.
Yes. So the exception there is now generally think of it this way: if you use the company as a shield to defraud others, okay, para manloko na ibang tao, and you use the concept of a corporation and the general protection of shareholders from liability, then you may be held liable as well. No? So please, wag tayong manloko ng tao and wag nating gamitin yung korporasyon para mangloko ng tao. Okay? Now, what are the downsides, Attorney Irwin, of having dummy shareholders? Or sorry, not dummy, nominee shareholders.
For the ano naman to, the actual people running the corporation.
Yes, oh.
Anong,
So yun. So if you're nominee shareholder, now possibly kasing this is done incorrectly. Like we said earlier, there's a correct way of getting a nominee and a incorrect way of having a nominee. Now, if it was done incorrectly, your nominee will have all the rights of a shareholder and can make trouble for the company. Okay, so kunwari, so I am reminded of a story of a client I had many years ago. Parang ang tanda ko na, no? Several years ago. No? So this guy, he set up his business. No? He's a good businessman. He's a great entrepreneur. No? And of course, ayun na, he set up his corporation or one of his corporations. Siyempre, binigyan niya ng shares yung mga kids niya. Okay? And these are called nominal shares. No? But he didn't do it correctly, so there was no protection. He just gave them shares. So, and these kids, they had nothing to do with the corporation. They didn't know the operations. They didn't know anything. Okay? And what happened there? No? When our client died, one of his kids, na slacker and
tamad, walang ginagawa.
tamad, had nothing to do with the business. He didn't even care. He used his position as a shareholder to file cases against the company and yung mga kapatid niya who eventually became involved in the corporation.
Kung sino yung walang ginagawa, siya pa yung matapang.
Yes, kasi and because he's a shareholder, and he had the rights of a shareholder. So those are the downsides of having a nominee or a shareholder na you didn't do it correctly. Okay, so review. Marie is a nominee who is an incorporator who is also a shareholder. And it's also possible that she is a board member. Okay, so sino naman tong board member? Now, if we think of the corporation and the shareholders as a body, okay, the board members, I would like to think of them as the brain of the corporation. Now, the board members, so these are the leaders of the corporation. They where yung rights ng corporation are exercised through them. So lahat ng pwedeng gawin ng isang korporasyon, it's done through the board members. Okay? So how are the board members chosen? These board members are voted every year. I mentioned, 'di ba, meron tayong annual stockholders meeting. Okay? And during that annual stockholders meeting, the board members are elected. Okay? Now, can anyone just be a board member, Attorney Irwin?
Syempre may qualifications.
That's correct. No? So, what are the qualifications of a board member?
Parang totoong election yan. Must be of legal age.
Yes, must be of legal age. Of course, since board member siya, they must own at least one share. Okay? So, even if
that establishes the link and the interest kasi. Na bakit ka makikialam sa kumpanya? Kasi may one share ako.
At
Isa ako sa
share.
may-ari.
Yan, okay. Of course, we want our board member to function and be upstanding. No? So we require that the board member must not have been convicted of a criminal offense punishable by around 6 years, no, of imprisonment. No? And he must not have violated the corporation code within 5 years from the time that he was elected. Okay? So yun. Now, ito naman, we go back to the question, can Marie be sued na? Shareholder ako, sabi mo, general rule, basta hindi kami manloko ng tao and we didn't use the corporation, baka I won't be liable. Now, as a board member, Marie, to answer your question, there are, again, certain acts that a board member can be held liable for. And you can find this in our corporation code. No? So usually, if there's that element of fraud, bad faith, or gross negligence on your part in exercising your duties as a board member, then there's definitely a possibility of liability there. Okay, so please use your discretion when making decisions. If you are making decisions as part of the board in your, if you or when you sign, no, when you sign something, make sure you read it and make sure that whatever you're signing, you agree with. Okay.
Marie, advice lang.
Mm.
Yung routine documents, pakibasa. Delikado
Yes,
yun.
or even better if you have a lawyer friend or if you've engaged a lawyer, ano ba naman yung pakita mo lang, okay ba to? And at least ma-explain lang sa inyo. If you don't understand what you're signing, have it explained to you.
And this is not to assume that anything bad is going on.
Yes,
It's
oo.
more for your understanding.
Yan. Thank you, Attorney Uren. Now, what are the downsides naman of having a dummy no? Or a nominee, na incorrect nominee in your board, no? Again, if not done correctly, your board member can choose to vote or not vote on important matters, no? He can delay decisions or even sometimes prevent them.
Ang nafo-foresee ko dyan, kunwari may papasukin na deal yung kumpanya. Sobrang ganda. Kailangan time is of the essence para maisara yung deal. Mga dami. Hindi man lang mapa-attend ng board meeting.
Correct.
Paano mo kukunin yung voting? No?
Correct. No? So please, those are the things that you need to consider. No, when we have these dummy. No, we call them dummy because they're not incorrect nominees. No? Yan. All right. Now, so we've talked about incorporators, shareholders, board members. What about officers?
Corporate officers.
Yan, correct. Corporate officers. No, what are the mandated corporate officers? No, so all the positions you see. In general, the important ones are, number one, the president.
Of course.
Yeah. Okay. So the president of a corporation, he must be a member of the board of directors. Okay. So president, generally, this is the person in charge of operations. No, siya yung overall in charge of the operations of a corporation. Yan. It's also important kung meron tayong operations guy at in charge of overall, meron tayong may in charge of pera.
Finance guy.
Yeah. So usually this is under our code, we call this the treasurer. Okay. Now the treasurer, he needs to be a resident of the Philippines. Okay. And meron din tayong tinatawag under our code, the corporate secretary.
Or CORSEC.
Yes. CORSEC. No, so corporate secretary, siya yung he generally holds the documents, important documents of the corporation. They take note of the minutes of the meetings.
They issue secretary certificate. Kaya sekretaryo.
Yeah, no. So now, a CORSEC or the corporate secretary must be a resident and citizen of the Philippines. Okay? So these are the general officers.
Attorney Ramon, tatlo lang yung binanggit mo.
Yes,
baka
president,
magtampo
treasurer,
naman,
corporate secretary.
baka magtampo yung ibang officers, yung mga VP.
Yan. So,
COO.
COOs, yan. Or VP for party planning. Or ano ba, director for vacation outings. So yes, now there are of course there are a lot of positions out there if you guys work for companies. These officers naman may be provided for in the bylaws of a company. Okay?
Hindi sa corporation code.
Yes. So yung sa corporation code, kumbaga, yun lang yung pinaka basic. Diba? But
kahit anong korporasyon dito sa Pilipinas, meron dapat yung tatlo.
Yes.
Pero yung VP for party planning, diskarte mo na yun.
Diskarte na yun.
Okay.
I think that's what we'd like to call a management prerogative.
Yes.
No, so yeah, it's up to the company and the bylaws. You can put that in the bylaws kung ano-ano yung mga other officers that you would want to have in your corporation.
Pero I think it's a good opportunity that we were able to bring this up kasi for some people, natataranta, nasan yung VP? Nasan yung yung
COO?
Oo.
Child of owner.
Diba? Dapat lahat may ganun. No, actually hindi.
Ayun. So, those are the... Maria, I hope naliwanagan ka on what your possible status is as far as the corporation of your friend is concerned. No? So, we talked about a lot of things. Attorney Erwin, would you like to give us a recap?
Most certainly. So, to recap, we talked about number 1, nominees, not dummies. Bakit? Kasi dummies po illegal. We don't want that. Nominees po, it's not illegal pero you have to do it the right way para hindi ka mapahamak. Next, we also talked about incorporators. Incorporators basically yung starting 5.
Yeah.
Oo, kumbaga sa basketball, yun yung initial players which were there on the hard floor, di ba? Playing. In
No.
this case, ito naman, sila yung una nagpatakbo
Yes.
at saka nag-own ng company. Next is shareholders. We talked about the concept. Ibig sabihin, ito po yung mga may-ari.
Mhm.
Now, in terms of incorporators and shareholders, magkaiba po na concept yan. Go back if you need to review. Next, we also talked about board members. Board members, ito po yung nagpapatakbo ng company through the board of directors.
Yan.
And finally, we talked about the officers and lumalabas po, 3 lang ang required under the law. Everything else is katang-isip or the result of your management prerogative. Kung ano po yung dinecide niyo, you can have that reflected in the bylaws.
For most of you, this lesson was more than enough. And if it makes your life easier, then you're welcome. But there are those of you who will watch this lesson and maybe end up asking more questions. So, like questions like, what are the papers do we need to submit to the SEC? Or what is the primary purpose and how do we choose one for our company? Or maybe, what is the right capitalization? Now, if that's you, then we invite you to check out our Putting Up a Corporation workshop, where we orient you on the things you need when starting a company in the Philippines. Get the workshop at info.legalguy.ph/company today.
Now, to add to that, if you want us to tackle your question in our show, go to www.legalguy.ph and click the Submit Topic button. Next, we'd like to know what's your biggest takeaway from today's video. So please write it down in the comments and let's talk about it. Last, if you feel we've earned a good rating, please give us a like and subscribe because it gives us feedback that we're doing a good job and it encourages us to do more videos.
Now, one last thing. Clearly, there are a lot of risks that go into being a nominee shareholder in someone else's business. If you decide to be one, be sure you know these risks. If you really want to do it, at least make sure it's worth your while or you're protected. Now, if you're an entrepreneur, the passage of the new RCCP has made the old ways of filling in your company with nominees a thing of the past. It has made it a lot easier for you to set up your business in such a way that reflects your true intentions. This is truly an exciting time to be an entrepreneur in the Philippines. Let's make the most of it. So wasn't that simple? Now go make better choices.